Hi, I'm Rani and welcome to my TED Talk. Years ago, after publishing my very first book, I dreamed of being a best-selling author, of having my appealing yet complicated books printed many times. I also dreamed of having private discussion with Dewi D. Lestari in her cozy living room. She's one of my favorite authors, and I'm sure that most of you guys are familiar with her works, such as Supernova series or Philosophy Copy. My other past dream was the third one, of flying to Ubud in Bali with my business class ticket, writing the draft of my new science fiction book in the classy environment, perhaps surrounded by nature or with a cup of coffee. Yeah, I thought that it would be very cool if I could write about science in the form of fiction, such as perhaps about a girl who is constantly trying to go back to the past in order to save her mom, whom died of lung cancer, or to fix her childhood trauma. However, I ended up being myself, a cheap paid freelance writer. This is one of my past projects, which is writing about the meaning of baby names. I know that this is very contradictory with my old dream, and it was random and easy. When I wrote about that, I barely had to think about anything. I just needed to Google some names and combine them so it would be nice to be heard by parents, and voila, I'm done. And my very previous project after that was writing articles about zodiac, which is, as random as the first one. It is actually embarrassing to admit this, but since this is TEDxITB, I don't mind telling you guys. And as can be seen, I randomly wrote about the ideal holiday for each zodiac. Second one, tips and tricks on how to be good to others without hurting yourself, which is good for Libra, perhaps. And the third one, I also wrote about 5 zodiacs, which are the least compatible with Taurus in terms of romantic life. Okay, let's move on from this because, it's embarrassing, and I'm going to jump right into the question. Am I writing the truth? The answer is no. To be brutally honest, zodiac rubric in magazines is a lie that publishers do to generate money. I can guarantee you this because, I'm the one writing it. It's worth noting that I am a business and management student who understands neither astronomy nor how the stars are moving or so. To conclude, I would say that I'm not writing a database novel like I used to dream of, but instead something that I myself would like to hear. And this leads to another why. Why? Why am I changing my direction? Why am I being in a state where my reality is 180 degrees different with my previous expectation? I would say that it is because I have metamorphosed a lot. And before finally choosing to change my direction from a science-based best-selling author to a cheap paid freelance writer, I decided to apply the helicopter view framework. Helicopter view means examining something systematically. And by applying this method, you will be able to see more objects using broader perspectives. Imagine yourself being in a fly-on helicopter where you will have much more times, enabling you to identify more interesting objects which lie above the ground. Helicopter view was the main topic of a journal written by Young et al. In 2016, and they referred this term to situational awareness, or SA. They also stated that people with maximum SA are able to use current information and the current situation to determine where the future will be ahead. From this previous paragraph, I highlight 2 necessary terms: current situation and future. Now this is where things are getting more interesting. How is this better framework could be applied in my case of change? Let us start with my previous current condition. I started my career as an author when I was senior high school. I wrote a novel and a major publisher directly accepted it. A major publisher. As for information, major publisher is a publisher which buys your book in exchange for full rights to modify your draft. They have the rights to change the title, the cover, or even the storyline. The major publisher is the opposite of indie publishers, where indie publishers only help you in printing your books, while the rest of the process, such as editing and proofreading, are still on your own responsibility. If I have to compare between these two publishers, I would say that the chance of having your book printed by a major publisher is way smaller compared to being published by the indie ones, especially when we consider the fact that in a day, a major publisher could receive more than 30 drafts. And for me, this is such a relatively huge amount. Therefore, using those facts as a base, I was very excited to have the opportunity. But the excitement only lasted for a while. It was completely gone when I faced such difficulties. The first one, I failed in helping my publisher to do the marketing of my book. And the sales rate of my book wasn't that exciting actually. And the second one, I failed in combating the piracy issue and the low level of Indonesian literacy. Long story short, while consistently trying to do the marketing of my book, I also tried to submit my draft to other publishers. I tried my best, but I ended up failing. In fact, I received so many rejections that I forgot how many times it was. I kept having further rejections until I stopped trying. But no, it wasn't because I gave up already, but more into other reasons. And these reasons were pretty clear for me when I applied this framework of helicopter view. More precisely, when I developed my previous current situation using broader perspective. These are the full perspective and aspects that I considered back then, and I will try to explain them briefly here, starting with these three. Knowledge, experience, and complacency. I have to admit that I didn't have enough knowledge. Sure, I experienced how to publish a book with the help of major publisher. But back then, I was only actually an amateur with limited knowledge regarding the publishing business. At that time, I only knew about the technical things such as diction and rhymes. I knew what good books are and I know how to write it. But later I learned that books and publishers are business. They do not only try to find a good book, but also the marketable one. I eventually stopped trying to send my drafts to major publisher because I realized if I do not know the business, then my drafts will only have a slight chance to be accepted. Next, background, resources, and physical mental condition. After knowing that I lack knowledge and other resources, I decided to assess my background. Do I have something or someone that could help me? Later on, I figured out that I had none. Not my family, my friends, or my relatives. I joined several author and blogger communities, but still, the qualities that I sought for couldn't be found there. Next are target, workload, task, and distraction. As time went by, I was getting closer to a moment where I needed to choose. Is being a best-selling author my real and only purpose? Or is there any other life path that could also work for me? After a lot of self-reflection and discussion, I figured out that the answers of the first question was no. I wanted to be a smart and best-selling author, but not because I want to live my whole life as that, but more because I wanted my thoughts to be acknowledged by others, and I want to be in an environment with cool people. And I do not have to be a best-selling author in order to reach that. After I had assessed all the aspects that stated in the framework, I came to the realization where I realized insisting to be a best-selling author was not the best choice for me, and seeking for another option was needed. Because when I analyzed myself using the helicopter view analysis, I could predict where my future will be, a time waster. Why? Because knowledge. I perhaps could write a good book, but with my lack of knowledge, I couldn't generate a marketable book. As a result, I will receive more, and more rejections. Or in other words, I could spend a lifetime writing, but only a little will deliver me to my real success. Second reason, background and resources. With zero resources and help, I will spend a lot of time to find the right resources instead of productively working on something. Okay, I might have the chance to be a best-selling author, but I couldn't see it happening in the near future. Well, I'm not saying that it's not okay to be a time waster. Instead, I lean towards the belief in that it's fine to be a time waster as long as it delivers you to what you genuinely love for. And in my case, I couldn't see that it's a good choice for me by sending my drafts to other publishers because it only makes me a best-selling author. However, it doesn't effectively deliver me to my actual targets, being acknowledged for my thoughts and being in a supportive environment full of cool people. Okay, now we have come to the conclusion, and okay, here I am. Learning business and management instead of writing any science fiction book draft, studying marketing instead of physics in literature, and trying to have my thoughts acknowledged by others by participating in organizations and events such as TEDxITB instead of publishing it in a book. Now, the questions are, is this wrong? Am I feeling sorry because I stay farther from what I dreamed of previously? Currently, nope. Although I felt it difficult to let go of my old dream in order to be a better me, I see myself turning to someone whom I have always wanted to be. Not only because my knowledge about publishing and books are gradually increasing, but also because I found a new goal. Still, I don't know what future holds. Maybe I'll be a businesswoman or a manager in a multinational company. Or perhaps I will go back to my old dream to be a best-selling author. But yeah, I don't know. What I know for sure is change, either internally or externally, is inevitable. However, we could always analyze ourselves, our strengths and weaknesses using the framework that, for example, the one that I mentioned before, in order to cope with it. To metamorphose into a butterfly after living our whole life as a cocoon. Thank you.